Hello, this is my story. My name is Nathan Barnes, and also on behalf of Montana Barnes, my German Shepherd dog, and all the puppies, kittens, friends, people and things of over the years who are associated with the organisation you see currently on your screen. I was the first ever animal behavioural trainer or person to decide what lives or dies as a result of undergoing an assessment. There was a lot in the media recently over the last few months on this assessment tool and what's good or bad, and you had many people of some counsellors commenting when they hadn't even seen an assessment or understand what it occurs or what accounts for it. Then you had other behaviourists commenting in saying that, you know, some of these animals are extremely disturbed or whatever else. Well, that was the whole point of bringing these assessments into the country. It was not to decide what lives or dies as a result of failing this assessment. This assessment tool was designed to understand what problems were with the animals, if they barked at cats, if they had potential obsessive compulsive disorders or anything else. Then for the time that they were with us, what we can do by looking at this assessment and figuring out their problems. If they're scared of cats, dogs, chickens, thunderstorms, aggressive, fearful, submissive, cautious, raincoats, hats, jackets, whatever it may be. It was designed not to decide from then, okay, this dog now is protective of food, we're going to kill it. It is designed to, okay, this dog is protective of food, now we're going to teach this dog that it doesn't have to be protective of food, because then it gets to learn to live and chill out, because food's not something you need to be protective of once you're in a happy, safe environment. So unfortunately I left the RSPCA in 2005. After politics, where I was told by the state manager, the current Northern Regional New South Wales manager Eliza Walker, to the best of my knowledge, and several other people very high in the RSPCA and all that sort of stuff, that even though the stuff they'd previously been doing was wrong by a person who was doing it, because he had a veterinary certificate, that was the only way they could get government funding and veterinary support from the New South Wales Veterinary Board and things like this, as a result of someone who has a veterinary doctorate actually signing off on whatever changes or assessments or things that are done. Even though this person, the suggestion to me in the first week from prior to living in America and working with extreme aggression and fighting dogs and rehabilitating bait dogs and things like that, have a look on the net. It's a terrible thing, but once you know what an animal is saying, once you know how to speak French, you can talk to everyone from France. Once you know how to speak dog, you can talk to every dog. It doesn't matter what the previous issues are, and if you then know or understand what they're saying, you can work with them. Now, this person's suggestion to me was the way to assess a dog, whether it was aggressive or not, was to rub the hair up on the opposing side of its body, from where you're standing, or from front to back, from back to front. Sorry. So either, if you're standing near it, rub the hair on the opposite direction. When you're standing next to it, from front to back. And that was the suggestion on how to tell whether an aggressive dog. I then went to the manager of that shelter, which is the Newcastle Hunter Shelter, Eliza Walker, and said to her, "This is crazy, this is not working." She then told me of the situation where that person they are still currently using to this day, advised the manager of the shelter, RSPCA, New South Wales, Hunter Valley region, Newcastle at the time, to kill one of her dogs as a result of they were dog aggressive. Now, that she did not follow those rules, yet they still continue to this day. This is probably 8 years on, give or take, to advise people on what to do with their animals. I'm happy to provide many clients and people in court when we get there, I'm guessing, to provide evidence to state that the suggestion of this same person who is employed by the RSPCA to advise people what to do with their animals if they're, bad, naughty, mischievous, or bouncy, bitey, nippy, whatever. He advises the manager of the New South Wales shelter to kill one of her dogs because they would not be able to get along. And my clients and people and friends that I've dealt with, it's medication or euthanasia. Now, I'm also aware of the fact that he's advised the RSPCA staff, through many different staff members of mine, that if you have an aggressive dog, the way to deal with it is, well, not every dog needs to learn to hang out with every other dog. They're just excluded or put down. So that's a very cynical way and approach to look at the things, and saying me versus them and you and bad and doing all this because of this other person. Now, I left the RSPCA as a result of politics. I quit because I couldn't deal with that same person many years ago. However, killing dogs and stuff when they didn't even, they wouldn't go into the cage of an aggressive dog and still wouldn't, still to this day. And not all dogs are aggressive initially. After you get in there and get them to chill out, their previous thing, they may have been dragged in on a catching pole from, a fire, and that dog's going to be freaked out. And if you can't go into the cage and sit down and chill out, you shouldn't be the person who decide what lives and dies. Anyhow, excluding that, moved on. I still assisted with them in taking any dogs that no one else would be able to fix, rehabilitate, or do whatever else, and on that recommendation did this for another 7 years personally, paid for them myself, worked with many staff members and friends and things along those lines, and continued to do so just on goodwill, basically because I felt bad for leaving and then going and working in the mining industry and earning lots of money and not doing it. So when I'd fly home, I'd help people for free, and I've continued to do that up until this day. That was the same sort of thing that happened up until 2010, which is the next one you're going to hear about. In that time, I had a car accident driving to and from the mines. I'd transferred from up in Queensland back down to here, sort of doing the puppy thing a fair bit more and getting involved. Yeah, but in February, I was running from the rear end of the car. I was driving, sitting on the highway, and that sort of changed my life. So I was home for a fair bit, and then I started, because I was home and had a very good friend of mine helping assist me, who we'll get into in the next thing. I'd had, probably 15, 20, 30 puppies and kittens and things at home that time, because I was home all the time and I couldn't bend and twist and do much. But, playing with puppies and kittens, everyone said that's a good thing. I'm picking them up every now and again and moving and doing things, and good rehab and good for them to be alive, otherwise they'd be dead. So in the next one you'll hear the next version of why I'm choosing to now disclose all this information about people and things within the RSPCA. This is not an organisation that I wish you to stop donating to or contributing to. I wish just for the funds that you're giving to be having someone who can be accountable for if you ask a question and then they don't answer, who you can then go to. I know, puppy dog, one of them just moaned. Very good. If you're donating money, I have no issue, and I'm not saying to stop doing that, and I never have or would. I'm just saying that if I donate money to an organisation and I ask where that money's going to, and they refuse to tell me, or show me a free range of books and allocation of where legal spending, other monies and allocations of wages, personal accommodation, transport and things along those lines are not available for the Freedom of Information Act like every other company in Australia, I'm just saying keep donating, but let's ask for a federal governing outside individual body to have a look at this. And they are autonomous. They have no governing body and no one to hold them to account. So have a look at autonomous RSPCA. Please have a look into this, and I'll tell you more in the next one.